Sweet. So this is the episode of our podcast that promises to close out our trilogy. All of the characters that you love from the first 2 episodes, you'll finally learn their fate in episode 3.
And since there's only 2 of us here, that means...
Spoiler alert.
You like video games. You like movies. You like CBA. You love CBA. Welcome to CBA.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Tyler, also.
And coming to you live from the Den of Iniquity for the CBA podcast of Chicken Butterfield Aquatics. We are bringing you the CBA podcast, episode 3.
Ooh, now with 33% more action, laughs, thrills, romance.
And if you're good, refreshments.
But really, it's just about video games and movies.
Yeah.
And things that we watch.
You know, stuff the mature members of society participate in.
Yeah. This podcast is rated T for teen, but it's rated T for mature thematic elements.
For textual content. Alright, well, how tell the people how you've been this week.
Oh dear, I've been great. I've been overwatching frequently and without break, with no regard for responsibility or adult things, and I will probably continue to do so for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I'm about there too. I've been a little sick this week, and so it's giving me just an excuse to try and get better.
It really has become. I mean, we kind of joked about it last week, but it really has become my No Man's Sky replacement.
Yeah.
It has soothed the pain of No Man's Sky.
I think it will hold me off until then.
Yeah.
I think by around that time is probably when I'll start weaning off of it.
Yeah.
And then that's a good timing for it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, news this week. The big news is that by the time we do another podcast, E3 2016 will have already happened.
Be a lot of news then.
Yeah.
Maybe. Hopefully.
We might just spend all day on that, and we'll have a very special guest for you.
Oh yeah.
Next week.
And that's all.
That's all we're gonna say. Yeah, cool. Well, E3. First off, how'd you feel about last year's E3?
Honestly, I was trying to remember last year's E3, and there weren't a ton of things that I remembered. One of the things that frustrated me about last year's E3 is seeing the same games that I saw the year before, like Below or Cuphead, stuff like that. That like I really wanted to be out, but weren't. But I think E3 is really interesting, and I think E3 becomes a little stranger and stranger each year because now we have like 9 PAXs that happen on all the years and everything. So
Yeah.
there's so many other video game conference things at this point. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm always excited for E3 just to watch like an hour-long clips of video games and Sony and Microsoft trying to one-up each other, whatever they're doing at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you? When were here?
Well, I honestly can't remember like the AAA titles announced last year. I'm trying to think back, and I can't really think of anything. I'm sure they were there. Like No Man's Sky, I guess, not necessarily a AAA title, but it was one of Sony's big things they're going for. Uncharted 4, I guess, was shown last year.
Yeah. That was kind of when we first started to see footage from Uncharted 4. I think it was last year.
And that was cool to see, and that was exciting. No Man's Sky, that was around the time that I wasn't really excited for No Man's Sky, and so I wasn't super pumped about them, but I am now. The thing I did enjoy about last year's E3 is we didn't see Metal Gear Solid 5 again. It was like 4 years in a row that we saw Metal Gear Solid 5, and I was just ready to not see that.
Yeah, seriously.
And also, kind of a similar game is Watch Dogs that we saw so many years in a row.
Yeah.
It was finally nice to just be rid of it.
Yeah.
And I actually never played it. The original vertical slice they showed at the first E3 it was shown at, that gameplay and the rain and stuff and everything looked gorgeous.
Looked awesome, yeah.
That looked really good, but then the footage that was shown later on, for some reason, I just wasn't super on board, and part of that might have been Ubisoft's failure to deliver for me. Well, my full expectations on Far Cry 4, even though I liked Far Cry 4, it wasn't what I want it to be.
Yeah.
Same with the Assassin's Creed games that have started to plummet.
Yeah.
And so I think with all that, and then seeing the footage that was downgraded and didn't look as sharp or as fun, and then the reviews came out, I was just not even gonna try. But did you played it, right?
I did. Yeah, I played Watch Dogs. Man, yeah, it's a disappointing game. It feels like it. There are so many parts of it to me that felt like they were ripped from the era where everyone was making Grand Theft Auto clones, and we still called open world games Grand Theft Auto clones. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so much of it felt like it was taking plays from that playbook that it just, it never felt like its own thing. It didn't really feel interesting. I wanted it to feel interesting. And the idea of kind of like hacking and controlling things sounds really cool until you realize that it's basically just pressing square whenever it pops up on the screen.
Yeah.
Holding it down or whatever. So I think open world wise, I think Ubisoft's, that's one of the things I think you can say for all their open world games is they built some pretty cool environments, and like I just think of the cities in Assassin's Creed. They're cool. They're great to look at. They're huge in scope. They do really cool things. But so much of the rest of that game just felt really flat. And a lot of it was the gameplay, which, that's one of the games that's been, I guess, preemptively revealed for E3. They even announced the release date, which is in November, I think, November 15th or something. But yeah, I don't know how to feel about Watch Dogs 2. We just watched the trailer and we're like, it looks really cool. Like, it looks good. Like, the look and feel of everything looks really good. But I just can't escape the idea that I don't think they're going to change the gameplay enough for it to make a difference to me, I guess.
Yeah, and I wasn't quite clear if that was a CG trailer or not.
Yeah.
I didn't read enough to really figure it out. Sorry, I'm lazy. But, like, if it is a CG trailer, then I have my own thoughts on CG trailers and kind of that I hate them.
Yeah.
But also if it was supposed to be gameplay, I'm like, oh, it looks amazing. But then so did Watch Dogs 1 when they first showed it, and then there's notorious downgrade and everything, and it ended up looking it didn't look bad, but it didn't look great.
Yeah.
It wasn't like super impressive or anything. So I don't know. I'm not super pumped with that announcement, really.
Yeah.
Like,
it doesn't do a whole lot for me. The setting seems cool. San Francisco seems like a cool place to run around and stuff.
Yeah. Like,
but I think I'd rather do it in like a Grand Theft
well, where
Auto
was the
game.
first one?
The first one was in Chicago.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
It was dreary. It was really dreary. Which I think, and there's a lot of things we go into about that game. I think it affected the whole tone of that game, and the protagonist just felt like a little like dumb rain cloud. I don't know. It was not good.
Yeah. Well, the story wise, I heard it was kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And like the characters weren't really likable. Like, so yeah, those are all. Everything I've heard about it hasn't been great, so it's hard to get really pumped about a sequel. I guess if you were to make changes to Watch Dogs to make it good, what would it need to change for you?
Man, well, I think a lot of it, it feels. When I remember playing Watch Dogs and I was like, this feels like Assassin's Creed. It feels like the movement and everything. I mean, you can drive in Watch Dogs, so that's cool, but even that doesn't feel as good as something like Grand Theft Auto. You know what I mean? Even with Grand Theft Auto's significant jank, like, I liked that more. At least it was personality for like something, you know. So I think, I mean, story, obviously, I'd like to have like a cool protagonist and interesting story that explores cool things. I don't know if we'll get that. And I think the gameplay needs to feel weightier. I think it needs to feel more grounded. And less. I mean, Assassin's Creed, I think, has become less and less, more and more airy, kind of as the series has gone on.
Yeah.
In both combat and just movement and in general.
Well, it feels terrible now.
Yeah.
It's so. Ugh. I get a bad taste in my mouth just thinking about the new Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, and so I just feel like there needs to be. I feel like if they made changes to those mechanics, then maybe Watch Dogs 2 will be a fun game. I don't know. I don't. Right now, I don't see myself picking it up to play it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. Like, yeah, come to think about it, I don't think maybe there's one that I'm missing or something. And I know you're more of an 80s movies fan than I am, so maybe you'll have ones. But I can't remember a story about hackers that I liked any of the characters.
Yeah.
Like, hackers are all douchebags.
Yeah.
Like, there's none of them have any redeemable qualities.
They kind of are, but at least there's like this kind of punk rock douchebag feel to some of them.
Yeah.
Which also is not present. So like that wasn't present in Watch Dogs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, there's like a part of me that's like, I'm fine with like having an unlikable protagonist as long as they're interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, but yeah, that was the big thing about. I don't even remember his name in Watchdog in the first Watch Dogs.
Ooh, was it Aaron, Ethan, Aiden?
Aiden. Yeah, I think it was Aiden because I just thought of another boring game. I thought of Aiden. Anyways,
yeah, he's got to have a pretentious name.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just it just felt like throwing a bunch of tropes into a really boring burlap sack and being like, here you go, he's got a dark past, but look at what a good guy he is. Oh, and his sister, and he's got a nephew. And you're like, yeah, but he's dumb. Like, no nephew wants to hang out with that guy.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Like, I don't know. I feel like it's a big thing for a character that you need. Like, they need to have flaws, and they need to, but they even with their flaws, they can still be likable. Whether it be the persona, the performance, or they're just kind of like, you need to care that they have flaws.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
Where I feel like I played a lot of games, particularly Ubisoft games, where I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or they're flawed in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Look at you, Far Cry 3. Anyway, but yeah, I think. I think that I don't know. I don't. It doesn't really do a whole lot for me. Mm-hmm. But that trailer looks cool, man. I'd love to play a game in San Francisco that looks like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. That would be pretty sweet.
But yeah, and then the other preemptive announcement for E3 was Injustice 2, which we're both heavily invested in. Not at all.
Yeah. We've talked a bit about superheroes on the last episode, and I don't get into superhero comics because nothing feels like, it all feels like flavor of the week type of stuff. It doesn't feel like anything has any weight story-wise for each character, and it's just constantly rebooted. It's like, oh, we killed Superman, but he's back.
Yeah.
And just things like that. And it's like, well, how do we make it new? How do we make it refreshing? We'll make one of them gay, one of them a different race. Well, like, it's I don't know. It's dumb to me, and I don't like superhero comics. So, that being said, I like the idea of superheroes. They're really fun. There are some superhero movies that I really like. I did download Injustice when it was free on PlayStation Plus, I believe.
Yeah.
And I played that for about a half hour. I did play it at my biological family's house. That sounds weird if no one knows I'm adopted and they listen to this ever. But yeah, I played it with my half brothers, and they they like it, and I played with them. They beat the crap out of me, and they're a lot better at it. But the thing that I couldn't get into the most about it was, and this is for Mortal Kombat and most fighting games in general, most one-on-one fighting games, you are these like really super powered, awesome fighting individuals, but you move so slow and clunky when you're just walking towards your opponent, and it doesn't feel like I'm empowered. It feels like I'm just this puddle of mush trying to fling myself against another puddle of mush. Yeah. And that was the biggest thing. I'm like, I'm freaking Batman, or I'm the Flash even. I should be like cruising.
Yeah.
But it felt restrictive. I don't know. How did you feel about it?
I mean, I don't love fighting games. Probably the fighting game I played the most is the one that everyone's played the most. I hope I just made that assumption correctly, but Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Play a crap ton of Street Fighter 2.
I played a crap ton of Street Fighter 2.
And
we're the most important people on this show, so...
Well, I think the thing to me about Injustice 2 is I'm interested to see... I feel like the goal of every fighting game at this point is to become like a good game for competition.
Yeah. Which
I don't know. I know that you've watched a little more Evo than I have for sure.
Yeah.
But was Injustice...
I think Injustice is involved. Like I think I've seen a couple Injustice matches on Evo. I usually, when I watch Evo, I usually just wait for the finals, and I watch like the final match of not even every game, just like some of them. Like Injustice, I'll watch maybe Mortal Kombat and definitely the Street Fighter ones, and then I watch like the final 9 of Super Smash Brothers because they're so entertaining for me.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see. I guess that's my interest in fighting games always, is just to see the reaction of a community that I'm completely outside of, just to see. Because we already had that with Street Fighter 5. I know Killer Instinct, I feel like has had a fairly warm welcome. I mean, and the way that they've been marketing that game and building it, kind of hints that they wanted to have a longevity in that.
Yeah, which I didn't see coming. I thought it was going to tank super bad, but it's got some life. I don't think it's definitely not the most popular of them, but I'm surprised how much life it does have.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I'm interested for that. That's like maybe a really dumb reason, but I just like to see kind of how people react to that, especially like people who play fighting games, because I think a lot of it is. Those games are really a lot about kind of nuance, and I think maybe they kind of fall in the same category as Monster Hunter, where people are like, well, the real game begins when you hit 100 hours. And I'm like, well, see ya. I'm out of here. But yeah, I'm interested to see that. But yeah, I guess, so what are things that you're excited about for E3 or looking forward to?
I would say, well, I'm really looking forward to Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah.
And if I was expecting last year for them to show gameplay, and when they didn't, I lost my mind. I was so upset. I was like gonna write my city councilman, and I don't know. I was coming up with all these plans to get back at EA for ruining my beloved franchise, and then I was like, okay. Well, there is November 7th, N7 Day.
Right.
And then what did they do on N7 Day? They showed the worst trailer in the world. I have been so upset over the marketing and the approach for Mass Effect Andromeda. It's been like 4 years. Yeah. They've been working on that game for 4 years, and I have not seen a single thing of... Oh, I saw the leaked gameplay, but that was way alpha.
That was years ago.
That was super alpha gameplay. Yeah. So, I really need that. And if they don't... I really want to be able to threaten that I won't get it, but I know I will. I want some way to pay them back for my pain.
It's like, yeah, it is. I'm not as invested in Mass Effect as you are, obviously, but like just hearing you talk about it kind of like filled me with a little bit of dread as to like, I hope that reveal does go well and that it's what people are expecting, because if it isn't, we might have another Call of Duty Infinite Warfare on our hands.
I know.
All those dislikes, man, that's what you need to do. Just get on YouTube and dislike every Mass Effect thing.
I think I think a big challenge for them is, oh no, there's a lot of challenges going in this because like the original trilogy was great and I love it.
Yeah.
But there's things that need fixing, and I feel like in this new generation you have the technology and the ability to fix it.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I feel like it's not gonna live up to the expectation, and it's gonna hurt worse because there's such a following now.
Yeah.
I think a big thing too for them is getting that the voice actors, the correct voice actors for the male and female version of whatever character you're going to be playing.
Yeah.
I think getting someone who's likable because I'm very, what's the word I want, rare or contradictory to most of the Mass Effect community, whereas I liked Mel Shepard's actor better than Jennifer Hale. Mark Meer I like better than Jennifer Hale's performance, and I don't know I like Jennifer Hale in other things. I liked her in Bioshock, Knights of the Old Republic, but in Mass Effect I don't know, something about it just rubbed me the wrong way. And Mark Meer, it wasn't like groundbreaking acting or anything, but it was like it had enough charm to it, and like that he's just fun.
Yeah.
And that's what I really liked. So I hope they get at least one of those actors. Hopefully both of them are charismatic enough that I think that is a huge step just in itself to get people to like the new one.
Yeah, for sure.
So I need that definitely, and I need. Oh shoot! I just thought of it. What was it? You go ahead. I'll think of it. What are you excited for? Or wanting to see or hoping to see?
So I've seen some rumors. So there's a couple things I've seen as rumors, and then a couple things I know for sure we'll see that I'm excited for. The first rumor that I've heard is that there could possibly be another Wolfenstein game coming.
Oh yeah.
Which excites me because I feel like the New Order was kind of the equivalent of like just a great summer popcorn movie, but in video game form.
Yeah.
And it was big and dumb and way too violent and just like ridiculous, and it was so fun. Like it's a really great first person shooter, and it kind of came out of nowhere. Like it was just a little European developer. I was gonna say they're Polish, but I think I'm just saying that because we were talking about CD Projekt Red. But yeah, I think they might be Ukrainian or something. But Machine Games, and it was just, I think it kind of shocked everyone because it was just so fun. So I'd really be excited to kind of see where they'd go with that next. And then I'm really excited for Dishonored 2. Ever since I saw the trailer that they released a little while ago, I'm really excited for that. And then I think the other thing is I'm excited to be surprised by something.
Yeah.
I want there to be something that surprises me and delights me. Because we were talking about this earlier. I feel like so many kind of those big E3 moments have been less and less over the last few years with the advent of all the different PAX conventions and everything. It seems like people announce things at different PAX, all of those and stuff. And so I'm excited to see what I have no idea about and all of that. And of course I'm excited to see how The Last Guardian is going to turn out. I hope that turns out well.
That game has... I'm at a point where I'm pretty sure it's going to be a letdown.
Yeah.
But I want it to be good so bad.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to play it.
For sure.
I remember what the game was. Cyberpunk is 2077.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of CD Projekt Red, yeah. And so CD Projekt Red is doing a Cyberpunk game and calling it Cyberpunk 2077. And with how good The Witcher 2 and 3 were, and everything they learned from The Witcher 3, and then moving into that cyberpunk setting, I'm really excited for that. And I know they've been working hard on The Witcher 3 DLC, so I don't imagine they'll have gameplay.
Yeah.
If they do, it'll be a small chunk.
Well, when did that video... I mean, when did they release that kind of like teaser trailer? That was
like when ago. Witcher 3 was about to... The original release date before it got delayed for Witcher 3, I think they released that like around the same time.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that, but... It didn't really give much, that trailer, because a lot of it was just that slow motion shot of that bullet.
Right.
I'm hoping for at least some sort of story information, a setting kind of thing more, I guess, more of characters. I guess I want to see. I want that, and then yeah, just like I don't know, just like what you said of something surprising. I want something that gives me the same level of excitement as the first time they showed gameplay for The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Like that was mind blowing, and was a surprise. I don't think I'd heard about it before that.
Yeah.
Maybe they announced it, but I didn't take notice because I wasn't into Naughty Dog.
PlayStation at that point,
I actually didn't. Yeah, I didn't own a Sony console then. So, yeah, I want something like that.
Oh, I just thought of one thing. I would love to see something about Borderlands 3.
Oh,
I would really
okay.
love to see something about
You think they will?
I don't know. I really
think
want
they
them
might.
to. It could happen. Even if it's just, it will probably just be a voiceover over shots from like nondescript shots of Pandora or something, and them talking, and then Borderlands 3 splashing.
Okay, here's what I want for my Borderlands 3 trailer.
Okay.
I want someone to come out and be like, now for a special presentation from Gearbox. Everyone starts losing their minds, right? And then everything goes dark, the lights turn off, and the screen goes black. And then all of a sudden, like, no fade in or anything, just all of a sudden, in the middle of an assault rifle, like, gameplay, just, like, a guy unloading an assault rifle at all these enemies, and just, like, it getting, like, deep, like, it kind of goes up Brady Bunch style, like, where that screen goes up and gets smaller, goes to the corner, and there's another one pops up of just another gun going, and then just keep that happening until it's just tiled, the whole screen's full of all these, and, like, the sound's just all layered, and there's chaos going on, and then it's silent, and then you hear, like, maybe the new villain's voice say something, and then just this, like, I don't know, they could get a song from, like, Royal Blood or something. And just that comes in with that heavy, crunchy bass. And then it's like, Borderlands 3. And then, and then,
awesome.
Then a blood splatter into the release window or something. I don't know.
And then, like, a 3-headed psycho or something. Instead of, like, him only have 2 fingers or 2 guns.
No, a psycho who has his head where his junk should be.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I would love. I'm really excited for Borderlands 3, because I think I see potential there for it to improve on the narrative of 2, and especially with. I mean, the pre-sequel was bad. It was bad, but it did kind of introduce an interesting story thing, because there are parts of the pre-sequel that actually take place after Borderlands 2, which you're probably not going to play it, right?
What, the
I don't know
pre-sequel?
why I'm dancing around. Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not going to play the pre-sequel.
Yeah.
I'll play number 3 if it comes out, but I won't
don't
play
know why
the
I'm dancing
pre-sequel.
around any spoilers, but basically the pre-sequel starts with after Borderlands 2, after Jack's been defeated, and Brick, Mordecai? That's the name of the bird. What's the name of...
No, Mordecai's the name of the son. Mordecai...
Okay, yeah.
Because he's based off the bird from Royal Tenenbaums.
Right, yeah, that's why I was... Okay. So anyways, Brick, Mordecai, and Lilith have, along with some of the Crimson Raider soldiers, have kidnapped or have captured, oh my gosh, Athena, and are basically interrogating her about Handsome Jack's origins. And kind of the end of the pre-sequel hints in a similar way that the end of Borderlands 2 does, that there are many more vaults, and that there's some greater evil lurking in the galaxy. So I would love to... It'd be interesting to see, like, a new planet in Borderlands 3, and kind of playing up on some new characters and stuff, but yeah, I'd be really excited for that. What I don't want to see is Gearbox, like, set up, like, coming, like, in a couple of years, and then announce Battleborn 2. I think that could be the worst. That might be the worst thing that could happen at E3.
That would definitely be the worst. Oh, man.
But yeah. Anyways, I'd love to see Borderlands 3.
Cool. Well, next time we do this, we'll see what's coming out.
Oh, man. I just got, like, that before Christmas feeling.
I know,
all
right?
All of a sudden, I got really excited.
E3's great.
Yeah, it is.
Even when it sucks, it's still exciting.
Yeah. Those press conferences are still super rad. They just spent all the budget on the game you wish they'd spent that money on in that press conference. But
yeah.
Damn it if you didn't like it. Anyways.
All right. Well, that leads us into our next segment. I think I did it last week. You want to go?
Oh, you mean hello? The media?
That one indeed. So the media we have partaken of recently. So we're gonna start out a little differently because it's kind of media, I guess. Last week I went to California with my wife's family, and we went to Disneyland. And while the first ride we rode was Star Tours, and you're waiting in line, and it's like they try and make it like an airport feel, right?
Yeah.
And like only it's like the universe. So there's like all these like your destinations await, and then it gives like all the flight times and stuff. So it's like you're like on an airliner, and there's like a droid scanning everybody and like if they have anything contraband on them or anything, and you get into it, and there's a kind of weird narrative to this ride, and I noticed like a lot of rides at Disneyland kind of have narratives, but a lot of those are focused on like that cartoon they're based off of, and so it's like very few of them have rides that like break the fourth wall and are like involving you. And Star Tours is one of those, and it's kind of strange. I know you mentioned something about that when you went to Universal Studios.
Yeah.
And so it got me thinking, I think we should talk about the different achievements in narrative in a ride. And so I'll let you go second because I think yours is funnier and more interesting and has more value. But Star Tours got me thinking because, so you're on this airline flight basically because you're going to another planet. C-3PO is your pilot. R2-D2 is there as well, and you sit down.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, what could go wrong? I mean, C-3PO is a pilot apparently, and so you start, you take off, and as soon as you're about to take off, you're in this hangar. And at least in the version we saw, Darth Vader's there, and he's like, "What? You have a rebel spy on your ship," and it's like and then they take a picture of someone in the audience and they put it up on the screen like, this is the rebel spy, and basically you escape out of there and you're flying away, and eventually you end up on I can't remember what happens first actually, but I remember at some point you end up on Jakku, and Finn from episode 7, they record some lines with John Boyega and he's there, and at this point I'm like, wait a second, we just saw Darth Vader. Something's wrong with this timeline. This is not canonically correct.
Or is it? Were they just showing you a glimpse of what's
they
to
might
come
have just
in episode 8?
They might have just spoiled episode 8 for me. And if they did, I'm gonna hate them because guess who came next? Captain Tarpal, the Gungan commander of the army, because we went underwater to the Gungan city, and I'm like, okay, this is I like wanted to throw up. But this is all beside the point. The canonical and errors aside, there comes a point where Admiral Akbar comes up. No, Yoda. Yoda comes up on your screen. The hologram Yoda, who, by the way, is Revenge of the Sith computer-generated Yoda.
Of course. Yeah.
Not old Yoda. So there's all these timelines going wrong. And Yoda is, well, we have a spy on your ship, and we need you to bring them to us on a mission for the rebellion. And at that moment, I'm like, holy crap, this is a terrorist act, because this is an airliner. You are like a rebellion group against the government, and you're using us in your terrorist plot. Like, all of us other passengers who aren't your rebel spy are now all in jeopardy for your rebellion, which, granted, obviously they're the good guys, but I mean, like, it just seemed very, very morally ambiguous.
And it, like, ideologically turns
ambiguous.
you into a supporter of the Empire in some way.
Yeah. So now I'm like all Team Vader, and I'm upset because my life's now in jeopardy for this cause I didn't sign up for. I'm in it for the money, princess. And they go through all that whole thing, and then finally you deliver the spy, and like the whole time thinking, wow, I just like had conflict because of this ride.
Yeah. Well,
a big part of my conflict was that it sucked, that they tried to combine all these different timelines and ruin the Star Wars. Yeah. But just the fact that I was kind of used. I felt used. And I felt that was a strange choice for like a theme park ride.
Yeah, for sure.
And then immediately I was reminded of your experience with the rides you rode at Universal, particularly that Fantastic Four ride.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so it's an interesting... Yeah, so I spent time in like our vacations were like a month apart, and yeah, I spent time in Universal Studios in Florida, and they have all these Marvel rides there, and probably my favorite one is they have Doctor Doom's Fear Drop or Death Drop. I can't remember, something like that. It's basically like where you sit in the thing and you shoot up to the top of a tower, and then you fall back down and it bounces you like 3 or 4 times and then you get off. It's like, I think at this point most theme parks have this ride. But what sets Doctor Doom's Fear Drop apart from the rest is the impeccably well thought out and well presented narrative. Because you stand in line and you get to watch this old... It's like it was made in the style of the Fantastic Four cartoons from the 60s. Doctor Doom is going to Antarctica, where Reed Richards has a base, and he is going to kill him. However, it seems that Doctor Doom's weapons have run out of fuel. Whatever that means.
What do they use for fuel?
Fear! So, Doctor Doom has built a tower-type amusement park ride so that he can harness the fear of all the tourists in Antarctica to then kill Reed Richards. And so, by agreeing and standing in line to get on to Doctor Doom's freefall, you are becoming a participant in Reed Richards' murder.
That's amazing.
Yeah, which was just a strange. It's a strange thing, and it represented to me kind of this idea of the lengths that people will go to take a very vanilla ride that's everywhere else and dress it up and make it something else. And right next door to this is, of course, the X-Men. It's basically the teacup ride from Disneyland, but the Professor X is using you to generate a magnetic field that will dampen Magneto's powers so the X-Men can defeat him.
Oh.
So you get to participate in all of these things. Basically what you become is a pawn for superhuman people in their battles against each other that you have no stake in. Which is a lot like, it's like just being alive and watching all the wars on TV, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. And I think the other thing I know, so Disneyland does a pretty good job, I think, of creating kind of fun atmospheres to be in. And lots of, the times I've been at Disneyland, I'm always pleased and shocked at the amount of just detail and, attention that's given to all those different lands. Universal Studios is sort of the opposite, with the exception of the new Harry Potter stuff. It's actually pretty cool, but basically everything else is yep, you're on a back lot of a movie studio. So it's just like a road and these big tan warehouses that rides are in. But if you do go to Universal Studios, just know that there's a formula for every Universal Studios ride where you're experiencing a movie. At some point, you will get water sprinkled on you. You will get hot air blown on you, and you will go backwards at least 5 feet. That is the recurring thing.
Is this a theme park or a brothel?
I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I'm fascinated. I have a new goal. I want to write for theme park attractions.
Yeah,
that's my new goal.
Yeah, I think that's a worthwhile goal. I mean, the potential's there with that Doctor Doom, right? I think that gets an A+.
Yeah, it's impressive.
And so, but I feel like there's some untapped potential there.
Yeah, the narrative hoops that whoever wrote that had to jump through. That man is a narrative gymnast. Good for him. What a man. But yeah, maybe he wrote the new Fantastic Four movie. I don't know.
It might have been better if he did.
More intriguing for sure.
Well, speaking of superheroes and superhero movies, another piece of media I actually watched a couple days ago was X-Men Apocalypse, and so
Now someday we're gonna have a discussion about a movie that we've both seen.
Yeah.
And both watched. Because I've not seen this yet. Still, I don't know why I've not seen this.
Yeah,
But...
well, I won't take too long on it, but man, I was disappointed because Days of Future Past is probably my top 3 superhero movies, and the X-Men franchise itself, like, there's obviously some really bad ones, but it has probably the most from that franchise that I like. I like them better. Well, I like 1 and 2 Days of Future Past better than the Marvel movies, and I like First Class about the same as the Marvel movies. So I was really let down because I'm a huge Oscar Isaac fan, and I was excited for him to play Apocalypse, and I like Michael Fassbender a lot. I think he's... Okay, I don't want to get sidetracked here on this either. Michael Fassbender, as Magneto, has moments of brilliance, and then moments that I'm like, what in the world? Like, that was terrible. And I don't understand it, because it's the same character, the same director, and there's moments that are completely polar opposite. The long and short of it is this movie didn't fill its potential. A lot of bad acting, a lot of strange choices that just make you scratch your head of why, like, would they do this? That's dumb and cheesy. And the biggest thing I had, which I already told you, is this movie kind of dug itself in a grave because it does. They've made it very clear this is the same universe as the first 3 movies, but the first 3 movies had this tone of being grounded in reality, whereas these latter movies are way more comic booky and goofy. And this movie couldn't really decide which way it wanted to go, and the whole franchise is just going to hurt because of this dissonance between those 2 tones and trying to fulfill both, because they made them in the same universe, which was a mistake. They really just need to say, okay, this is the last one. We're going to now reboot in probably, let's say, 6 years. We'll start a new series and make it really comic booky. I think that would be the way to go.
Well, I think that's true, and it's crazy because, to me, for Days of Future Past, that was like also maybe one of the biggest strengths is like tying those 2 together. You know what I mean? Like,
it was done so well.
Yeah, it made it feel so good. So it's interesting to hear that it has caused kind of this problem. You know what I mean? This like I don't know, identity crisis, I guess, with this franchise now. So. That's a bummer.
It's also really it has really ambitious special effects in, like CGI, which they didn't have the budget to reach their ambition, and it shows.
Really?
There's some shots. There's one shot in particular where Apocalypse has his 4 horsemen. They have Professor X, and he's kind of like their prisoner, and they're on this like mountain cliffside, and it looks so bad. And like, I'm like, it's a cliffside. How hard is that to do? But it looks terrible. It's like, oh, that background's green screen, and that's not real rock. Yeah. Like, it doesn't seem like that'd be that hard to do, but it looked bad. And so, which is sad because I was actually kind of shocked by the quality of the special effects in Days of Future Past.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I was like, whoa, that's actually a lot better than I was expecting. But this one was a lot worse. So that was a letdown too. And that's my very very short rundown of it. Do you have any other media you partook of this week?
Yeah, so this one is about as far from X-Men Apocalypse I think you can get. But I watched Lady Dynamite on Netflix. And if you don't know what Lady Dynamite is, it is a new show starring Maria Bamford, who's like a really weird comedian. I've like listened to some of her stand up before, like a couple of years ago and stuff. I think it was actually because she is in the newest season of Arrested Development that they did on Netflix. And I was like, found out she's a comedian, so let's do it. She's got a very distinct flavor of comedy that is definitely not for everyone. It's really weird sometimes. But she has a new show that has been created by Mitch Hurwitz.
Like Stella weird?
Well, so I'll say this. I basically felt like, I don't know if you've seen Better Off Dead. Have you seen Better Off Dead?
The movie Better Off?
John Cusack? Yeah.
Yeah.
So by the end of the first episode of Lady Dynamite, I was like, this is kind of like Better Off Dead, but if like the weird parts of Better Off Dead made up like 85% of the movie, like, which I kind of love. The first episode is kind of uneven, and it doesn't do a great job of kind of introducing you to how the show works.
Yeah.
So it can be kind of like off-putting a little bit. But as the series goes on, I just think it gets better and better. It becomes more and more comfortable as what it is, and you become more comfortable with it. But it's essentially, Maria Bamford was also the Target. I don't know if you remember the Target lady commercials. It was like the crazy like Target lady. She's like hyperactive. And,
I can't. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, all these things, and like that was like her whole like all that ad campaign. But she basically had like a mental breakdown, kind of while doing that, and so it also this.
It's because there are too many things. There's so many things. She just couldn't. Her brain couldn't handle it.
And this series also like deals with that, and it deals with like mental illness and, in her case, kind of bipolar disorder and anxiety and depression in a way that is really great. Like it's really fascinating. It achieves being this really strange, surreal show, and also having these really great heartfelt real moments, and I'm not sure how they did that, but it's really good. I really liked it. It's very crass. It's got a lot of language, but if that doesn't bother you, you should watch it. It's a fun show. So yeah, I watched that, and then I also read my first Haruki Murakami novel, who is, I guess he's probably considered one of the. I don't know much about contemporary Japanese science fiction other than anime stuff that I see everywhere.
Yeah.
But I think that he's like probably considered maybe their premier sci-fi writer, like living sci-fi writer. And I read the book, the Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the World. And it is weird. It's really weird, and it's I think it's one of his earlier novels. I think he's written probably like 15 or 16 books. I think it's like his third or fourth novel. It's from the late or like in 1983, I think is when it was originally published. But it is a story that takes place in two very distinct places that switch off each chapter, and it's a book that I didn't really know what was going on at all for probably the first 100 pages. And then something clicked and I realized it's essentially a book about the Holocaust and about burying disturbing parts of our history and hiding it from future generations and things like that.
Gotcha.
Which once I like got that, I was like, oh wow, this book has become very.
So it's about the Kardashians.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's a really fascinating, and that's something. I guess that's a perspective that I haven't really researched a lot. Is the idea of kind of the Japanese perspective on the Holocaust and World War II.
Yeah,
and
that
stuff.
is interesting to think about.
And I don't think it's not a perspective that's explored a lot in media.
I can't say I've ever seen any or read anything that even explores that at all.
Yeah, and so it was really interesting. It's a weird book, but I really enjoyed it. It was kind of a refreshing thing for me to read. I hadn't read anything like it before, so I really enjoyed it. And I'm probably going to read some more of his stuff because I hear really good things, and I really enjoyed that one. So, but yeah.
Interesting. Cool. Well, as long as we're talking about books, I recently finished the Thrawn trilogy of Star Wars, which was written by Timothy Zahn, which was written, I think, late 80s after Return of the Jedi. It was supposed to be like the official story of episodes 7, 8, and 9. Until that was it's no longer canon now since Disney got it. But I still want.
I do have a question about that. So is it like based on stories that George Lucas had like?
I'm actually not sure how much George was involved.
Okay.
I feel weird that I just called him by his first name. George Lucas was involved.
Excuse me, it's Mr. Lucas.
Mr. Lucas. And yeah, I'm not really sure about how much that is. I know if I have my facts right, George Lucas was pretty involved with a lot of expanded universe stuff. And like,
Interesting. Okay.
I'm sure it varied depending on the project.
Yeah.
But I know like, he even had like they had to run things by him when making Knights of the Old Republic, I think.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
So like, I don't know his level of involvement, but I'm pretty sure since that was like one of the first expanded universe things that came out once the trilogy was over.
His fingerprints are probably on it.
I think, yeah. And man, it's weird. Like, there's things about it that are cool. Like, Timothy Zahn does a phenomenal job at writing Luke Skywalker, especially. Like, it sounds like Luke.
Cool.
And it seems like that is stuff he would say and do. And most of the characters are like that, too. Most of them feel genuine, like the characters are supposed to represent. There are some iffy moments, but it's, yeah. Where it gets really weird is it deals a lot with clones.
Okay.
And this was before the prequel trilogy, so we didn't really have any Star Wars facts or canon about the Clone Wars and stuff. And so this is, if anyone's listening to this and they don't want it spoiled for them, then stop listening, because I'm about to pull the pants off this narrative here. So at some point there was this group of ships. They built this giant fleet during the Clone Wars, and it was supposed to be like a very small crew could manage this huge fleet or something, and they were going to explore like unknown space, basically. So they just went out there and they lost contact with them. And this is more of a part of book 2 mostly, but it ends up playing kind of a bigger role. On said crew, I believe, if I might be butchering this, I think there's this Jedi master called I don't know how to pronounce his name. Siboth? I don't know. I read it at night while I'm falling asleep. Anyway, apparently they cloned him, and his clone's running around, and he's like, if you raise clones too quickly, they start going insane. Okay. And so he's a clone of a Jedi who has all the Jedi powers of this really powerful Jedi, but he's gone mentally crazy. And he wants to take over the Empire and bring back the Empire that the Rebellion crushed. And then, just a lot of weird things, like Wookiees actually speak English. Chewbacca just has a speech impediment.
That's so great. I feel like I've picked that up from some article online a while, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a while. It's like, that's so crazy. That's weird.
Stupid. Just stupid. And
one more thing about clones. Do they clone Luke Skywalker? Like, are there clones of Luke Skywalker?
No, that's at the end. At the end, At the end, there's a clone of Luke Skywalker that he fights against, and that's the big lightsaber battle of the whole thing. That's crazy. That's, in fact, the only lightsaber battle of the whole trilogy is in the 3rd book. He fights a clone of himself, and I don't know, like, that's kind of a staple of almost every Star Wars movie. There's a lightsaber battle of some sort in every single one, and so to have that only in the 3rd book, it felt very un-Star Warsy. Yeah. And also the fact that it was a clone of Luke just felt like, what? Yeah. And the whole time the crazy Jedi clone guy is just sitting in the background. He's like throwing lightning at other people, like Han and Leia and stuff. And there's also I don't know how to pronounce this either. It starts with Y, like the Isilamari or something. They're these little furry salamanders that block the Force.
Like,
and
beings that block the Force? Their existence blocks the Force?
Yeah, like they're not intelligent.
Interesting.
But to adapt to survive, because one of their predators is like this Force sensing hound, and so they block the Force from a barrier around them. So there's this general, and he's like one of the most interesting characters, Thrawn, and he's like the leader of the remaining Empire, and he builds. He finds out about them, and he gathers them and starts putting them all over his ships and wears them around his neck and stuff so that he can confront like the clone guy and so there's some interesting and good parts about the trilogy, but overall it was just a little strange, and I'm glad that it's no longer canon.
Yeah.
And just some weird stuff and some weird writing stuff too. He uses a lot of like the same words over and over again. And like to describe things, especially sardonically. People say things sardonically in that trilogy up the wazoo. Like, I don't think that's the first time I've heard that word, and like he used it 900 times. Also, in the very first one, Luke's drinking hot chocolate in the first scene, and they make like a kind of a little bit of a big deal about it. Like,
they're like, no, it exists. We know that people have been debating this. Hot chocolate does exist in Star Wars. Duh.
It's Hoth chocolate. And but like, see, there was like, what are you drinking? And he's like, Luke's like, that's a drink that Lando introduced me to. It's called hot chocolate. And I'm like, no, that's dumb.
So because
Don't do
Lando's
that.
like, I feel like Lando might actually just be like from Detroit. He like accidentally was like killed by a gangster and like fell into a manhole and just ended up in a galaxy far, far away. It's just like, well, here I am.
Make the most of it. Start hustling.
Yeah.
And yeah, but when he first said it's a drink Lando introduced me to, I'm like, oh, Luke's getting hammered. And it's like, no. I'm like, Lando doesn't drink. Lando doesn't drink hot chocolate. Lando drinks gin and tonic or at least like spiked blue milk or something. Like, not hot chocolate. So anyway, that was a long rant on a trilogy I read recently. But yeah, I think that kind of brings us to our challenge, and my challenge for you, and I'm not gonna make you read the Thrawn Trilogy, but it is reading. I let you borrow The Underwater Welder.
Yes.
And it's really good. I won't spoil anything, but it's very much like, and it describes itself this way in like the intro and stuff of like, it's like it's very Twilight Zone-ish. Mm-hmm. It deals with some interesting themes that most comics don't, like just kind of like, I don't know, and us being our age, it's more prevalent for us, I guess. So that might be why I enjoyed it more, because it's more relevant to me. Yeah, but a lot about like just growing up, basically, like cool. Being an adult, learning to let go of things, dealing with fatherhood, like becoming a first-time father. His wife's pregnant in it, and just the responsibilities of that, and work, and learning to let go of the past and trying to adjust to new things. But it's done in like a really interesting Twilight Zone way. The art is very strange. It's okay. Like, the style itself doesn't bother me so much. It's just there are some. This sounds contradictory. There's just certain things about the style I don't like. Like, some faces aren't consistent. They're really mushy and look retarded sometimes. I shouldn't say that word on live air. Sorry. I mean by that is just not natural. And yeah, like if small tweaks like that were made, I like the style.
Right.
It serves the story and the style of story well in its art style.
Interesting.
But yeah, you should read that. You should be able to get it done in like a day. It's
I'm excited. I feel like it's a graphic novel that we've like talked about reading, like both of us, for a while.
Yeah, it's been like 2 years.
Yeah, it's been out for a while, and so I'm excited to finally read it. Well, yeah, it was like when I finally did decide to read it, I'm like, I'm gonna get it at Barnes and Noble, and then it was like
never there.
Gone. Yeah.
I've checked 100 times for it there.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm definitely gonna read that. My challenge for you this week. I want to challenge you, based on my experience with Haruki Murakami, to partake of some Japanese media that is not anime or like a video game, but like some Japanese media. Yeah, okay. Like a film. The first one that comes to mind is Tokyo Drift. Well, no, not Tokyo Drift. Sorry, Tokyo Jungle. Is like this weird 80s kind of neo-noir Japanese movie. But maybe something, and you've probably experienced a lot more Japanese culture outside of that than I have, but like maybe a Japanese narrative that isn't like a sci-fi or something like that. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a vague challenge.
Yeah. But it's going to be tough to find. Because that's their main media exports.
I know.
Are anime and...
I know. But I just think it was one of those things that I was like, because I definitely like put anime into this category of things.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like anime can go outside of this
Alright.
box that I put it in. I have some Haruki Murakami short stories that I'm gonna send you,
Okay.
and I'll challenge you to read those this week.
Well, it's not Japanese, but I was interested in reading Journey to the West. It's Chinese.
Oh yeah.
Apparently, it's impossible to find the full text in English anymore.
Really?
Like, it's a pain in the butt. You can find like excerpts from it or something.
Interesting.
And I've been really wanting to read it. I don't know how good it is. It's pretty old.
Yeah.
It's like really freaking old. But yeah, they made that video game about it. I think the guy from Blur and the Gorillas wrote a play
Oh yeah, like
of it.
some like opera almost.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah.
And so those two things kind of got me interested in it. And yeah, I can't find it anywhere, but I want to check that out. But yeah, I'll check for some Japanese stuff. My brother's coming to visit, and he's
cool,
spent a lot of time in Japan. He lived there, and so I'll ask him if he's not super into the same type of media and stuff that I am, but I could ask him if there's anything like famous or anything that I should read.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, and I'll try and do that.
Well, cool.
Well,
We did it.
it's that time again.
Closing the book on the trilogy.
We're leaving you. It's the end of the day, time to close the blinds and shout hooray, 'cause it's the weekend.
Beautiful. Just beautiful. Oh yeah, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Yeah.
We're actively posting on all those things. When this comes
Oh, yeah.
out. Also videos. We've got cool videos.
Tons of videos.
Yeah.
Your bowels can't contain the amount of videos that we have.
It is more than a bowel load of videos.
And yeah, so look them up on our YouTube channel. It's either going to be under CBA Originals or CBA Productions. We own CBA Productions as a company, but some
Other guy.
dingle dorks bought the internet names and set up profiles on Google and stuff with that name. I don't know if we can sue them for that, but I'm all ready. So here's a warning to you. You better watch out, suckers.
Because CBA Productions, the real, that's in parentheses after. It says CBA Productions, parentheses, the real is coming for you.
CBA loves you. Goodbye.